Get that. Okay, so as you guys know, we have been doing these wellness workshops, complimentary every single Monday night. And the reason we're doing it is just to get sort of information out there that we get asked as wellness partners all the time. And it gives us like a platform to sort of talk for a little bit longer than just what you would be looking at in a social media post. So they've been really great. We've been able to highlight a lot of the principles and strategies that we use for our own health and wellness. We've been able to highlight a lot of our products that we love. But we were getting tired of sitting at our chairs. We were like, what more can we talk about? And we both thought, you know what? These recipes, everybody wants recipes. And I mean, if unless you're living under a rock, you know that for women specifically, having protein in your diet is really, really important. Having vitamins and minerals and nutrients is really, really important. A healthy diet is super important. But I think a lot of us will agree we still want to have some treats, right? We still want to have some special things. We want to be able to have a cookie or have ice cream or have cake and not feel like we're cheating. And I personally think you should still have those birthday cakes and full fat ice cream and have the beautiful cookie. Like I don't think that stuff is off limits, but I know for myself, I have this kind of maybe an older mindset, not older in age, but just like I've lived in this world of like dieting and restriction, and I can still sit in this space that I'm not allowed to have a cookie. Like I shouldn't have a cookie, so I just won't have one. And then what often happens to me is like Saturday night comes and like I've downed a whole sleeve of cookies instead of just having a friggin' cookie on Wednesday. So something that has really helped me is leaning into these high protein desserts and treats and sweet swaps. You guys have seen them everywhere. It's not just Megan and I talking about these. Like everywhere on the internet, on Instagram, they're talking about these sweet swaps, using your protein powder in place of flour and making some different swaps. So I've been doing that for the last 6 or 7 months with my Shakeology. I'll use my Shakeology or I'll even use our protein powder Recover. I'll swap out some of the flour or I'll make just some sort of dessert treat with it. And what it's done for me is it's fulfilled that sort of craving to have some treat. Like now I will have a cookie every single day. I will feel no guilt. But the bonus, and I believe this is the bonus of using Shakeology specifically, is I don't feel like eating the whole sleeve because using Shakeology gives me fiber, it gives me protein. So it gives me those things that are really satiating me instead of like what we know what would be in a traditional chocolate chip cookie, nothing that is going to satiate you. It's actually going to make you crave it more. So tonight we are actually going to make a couple recipes. I am going to make something that I make probably once a month. They're decadent chocolate chip cookies, but they are made. Now, this specific recipe is made with Shakeology. I don't know, but I am assuming you could probably make it with any protein powder. I don't know that for sure. I've only made it with Shakeology, but they actually are pretty good. I made a batch of them today because I didn't know how long we would be here tonight. So here they are. And I will say my daughter came home and ate too. So if Delaney, picky old Delaney, who actually makes really good real chocolate chip cookies, if she'll actually have two of those, they can't be that bad. So I'm going to make these and I'm going to let Megan tell you what she's making. And we're just going to kind of go back and forth. But what we'd like to do today is kind of get your feedback. Like, where are you struggling? Did that resonate with you? Like, do you feel like that around desserts? Are you looking for high protein, different swaps that you can make so you don't feel guilty? We'd love to have some questions in the chat. This is going to be a little bit different than our other workshops where we're just kind of talking at you. We'd really love some feedback from you and some questions. So maybe, Megan, I'll let you unmute and I will start making. You'll be just like seeing me baking, which is actually quite funny. This mixer has been used so much since my sourdough journey has begun. I think I've had this mixer since I got married the first time, which was in 1997. And I probably used it twice until last week or last month when I started sourdough, and I probably used it almost every day. So very funny. So I'm going to mute myself and get started, and Megan can answer some questions and share some things about the things that she makes with Shakeology.
Yeah, so just disclaimer here, I have a very busy house and no one seems to understand that I'm doing this call tonight, so just forewarn you. But tonight I'm going to make a Wonder Whip, which is something that I do very regularly because it's like just quick and I can have it in the moment. So sometimes like I want something sweet and I want to, stay on track. I'll even have this for lunch sometimes. Like, I know we're supposed to be having salads and, all these like greens and stuff at our lunch, right? We've like been conditioned to think that way. Sometimes I have myself a Wonder Whip and I know it's full of protein and I know it's full of superfoods because I'm using Shakeology usually when I make them. So I don't have that guilt of like, oh, I should be having something, that's full of vegetables and whatnot, because I know Shakeology does have veggies and fruits included in the blend of Shakeology. So it's sort of like a no guilt way of like having sort of a treat and something quick, because a Wonder Whip you can make really, really quickly. So I will show you how I do that. Another thing that I do like on the regular with my Shakeology, and if you follow me, you will know I love smoothie bowls. Like I just absolutely love smoothie bowls, and I've been able to perfect like the amount of like frozen fruit and liquid, and I'll share some like tips about making like the perfect smoothie bowl. But we have smoothie bowls here a lot. Like quite often that ends up becoming dinner around here. I just make like a lot of smoothie bowls, like 7 of them, and everybody puts their own toppings on them. And it's sort of like a smoothie bowl bar. The kids think it's so amazing. I am so happy that they're eating something incredibly healthy. And it's just a really easy dinner sometimes. Or we'll do smoothie bowls in the afternoon, or sometimes smoothie bowls for breakfast. But honestly, it's something that everyone in this household absolutely loves. You would be horrified at the amount of Shakeology we go through in this household. But you can also do up 3 smoothie bowls with even like 1 scoop of Shakeology. Like it can go quite a far way if you don't want to have like making 7 smoothie bowls and 7 scoops of Shakeology could be a lot. But with your smoothie bowls, here's some tips for you guys. If you want to make a really nice thick smoothie bowl, because no one wants like a runny, watery smoothie bowl. You want it nice and thick so that when it comes out of the blender, you're having to like push down it and smooth it out, right? And get that like satisfying little like smoothie in the bowl. Do not use water, okay? And do not use ice. Use frozen fruit, and your best bets are going to be frozen bananas because they're nice and creamy. Frozen mango is super creamy. You can add in avocado, frozen avocado in there, which will also help the creaminess and like the thickness of it. And I use frozen strawberries pretty much always. You can, of course, add frozen blueberries, anything else frozen, but I find as long as you've got like mango and or frozen banana in there, you'll get a really nice creamy base. And then I use some almond milk. You are not going to use very much almond milk. So start out with like a small amount of almond milk. And as you're blending it up, another tip, you like, oh, it's in here because my daughter just made smoothies. But usually with the blender, you get this, and then you also get like the 1 serving cup. You can't really make a thick smoothie bowl in the cup. You have to use the big blender, which is why I usually just make a big batch of them for the whole family when I do it. So my liquid probably goes like like not very high. And then my frozen fruit is like up to here. So it's a lot of fruit compared to liquid because you want it to be super thick. As I'm blending it, I will often add in a little bit more liquid as needed. But if you put too much in, there's really no going back, unfortunately. So, I mean, sometimes mine are thinner than others, but that's like how you can make the perfect smoothie bowl. And then of course you can top it with, you know, sliced bananas. You can add in seeds and nut butter. I mean, you can just make it as decadent as you want, but a smoothie bowl really is like such an awesome treat. It feels like you're having dessert. It's hands down our favorite thing to have in this house. So let me know if there are any questions at all about what I've mentioned so far. Leslie, you can't get the consistency right. Did that help, or have you done that?
It could also be our blender.
It could be. It could be.
Yeah, it could be that.
Yeah, yeah, it might, because some blenders I think won't allow it to be very thick. Like it just won't work. You almost have to have a pretty high quality blender in order to blend such a thick consistency. But yeah, just keep at it because it did take me a while to kind of perfect it.
I also think I used too much liquid.
Yeah. And then there's no going back. It's very frustrating because then the kids are like, this isn't, they're like eating it like soup. I'm like, sorry, it happens. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start making this Wonder Whip. So the base of it is Greek yogurt. So plain Greek yogurt, not sweetened. You want it to be just like plain, boring Greek yogurt for 3/4 of a cup. This is actually 17 grams of protein, which is like pretty incredible. That's like a high protein food right there. So Greek yogurt, as long as you can handle dairy, it is a very good thing to have around. I'll tell you, when I first started this health and fitness journey, like 8-9 years ago, I was the person who was having ice cream every single night after my kids went to bed. I had very young kids at that time, and literally I would put them to bed and I would get a huge bowl of ice cream, like multiple flavors, whatever we had in the freezer, and then put on reality TV. And that was my reward for like surviving the day with the kids. And like, I looked forward to this moment all day long. And even if I didn't want the ice cream, like if I wasn't even hungry, I would still have it because it was such a habit. So when I started with BODi and started making some healthy habits, I looked at like, okay, what's maybe not working for me and what can I do differently? And having that nightly bowl of ice cream obviously was not doing me anything good for my body. So I actually started eating plain Greek yogurt with some peanut butter and some honey. And I would whip that all together. So kind of like a Wonder Whip a little bit. And I would have that at night, and it replaced my ice cream. Like that alone is such a incredible swap for our health, right? Nothing wrong with ice cream. We still have ice cream around here, but every night is probably not the greatest habit. All right, so 3/4 of a cup of Greek yogurt in here. And then because I don't actually have any chocolate Shakeology in the house right now, we are a big fan of the vegan vanilla. If you do have Shakeology, let me know what flavor is your favorite. But what I am going to use tonight is our Recover. So this is our protein powder. So FYI, Shakeology is not a protein powder. Yes, it has protein in it, but this is actually our protein powder, Recover. So this is, I believe, 18 grams of protein in it. So we've got, what did I say? 17 grams plus 18 grams. So I'm going to dump that in. And the key to this is using a whisk to whisk it up. So you're going to mix all that in. I add a little bit of almond milk to it just to kind of thin it out a little bit. I find that it just kind of mixes easier, but using a whisk is just, I don't know, it's just easier, and it kind of thins it out a bit, makes it a little bit more whippy. Now you can also add in, if you use like PB2, the powdered peanut butter, you could add I don't know what it is, like a tablespoon or teaspoon, I have no idea. You could add that in right now, or even just like any type of regular nut butter. We love almond butter around here. So you could drizzle in some almond butter right now and whisk that in as well. But you're going to get like a really like whippy consistency. It's almost like chocolate mousse. So delicious. You can even freeze this for a little bit or throw it back in the fridge for a little bit as well. And then what you can do is you can take some fun toppings on this. I have some white chocolate chips. So why I love this is because you can still have this like super healthy dessert, but you can also add in like something that maybe you're craving. So like, let's say you're just like, I want a chocolate bar. Well, you could actually get like a little mini Kit Kat bar or a piece of a Kit Kat bar, chop it up and sprinkle it on top of here and still enjoy like that chocolate bar that you were kind of craving, but you're going to fill up on all of this protein. Like this is a ton of protein. So if you're having like a craving for something specific, like Smarties or like chocolate chips, whatever, but you can make this like as big and decadent as you want. You could slice some fruit on this, like whatever, add some nuts and seeds. Another really cool trick is if you mix some melted dark chocolate, so like take dark chocolate chips, melt it with a little bit of coconut oil in there, and then pour that on top of either your smoothie bowl or your Wonder Whip. Throw it in the freezer for like 10 minutes. It becomes like this flat, smooth, hard, like chocolate layer, almost like, you know, when you get like an ice cream dipped in chocolate and has that like chocolate outing. That's what happens on top of your smoothie bowl or your Wonder Whip. And it's awesome. And then you can like crack into it. So just like little ways of having our treats, but also like fueling our body with lots of protein and things that are actually really good for us. Michelle, how are you doing?
Hey, so I'm good. So these are ready. I didn't want to put them in the oven until you guys saw them. So I'm not really a professional baker, but those came together pretty quick. Super simple. And the recipe, so I want to make sure you're in the comments. I've shared the link a couple times. I'm going to share it again. This is your link to a free dessert sweet swap guide. So we have shared a couple Wonder Whip recipes. We've shared this recipe, the decadent chocolate chip cookies, but I want to tell you that I actually am the opposite of Megan and had no vanilla left in our house. So I made my first batch today with cafe latte Shakeology, actually, and they're delicious. And tonight I made these with Snickerdoodle. So you can, you can play around with your flavors. This was very, very simple. And what I love about this, like I said earlier, each cookie has 5 grams of protein. Okay, so it has 5 grams of protein and 2 grams of fiber. So you're never going to get that in a regular cookie. So the nice thing about having these around, and again, please hear us when we say, we are not saying don't have a cookie. Like there's going to be lots of times when I have the real cookie. My mother-in-law's chocolate chip cookies, I would never not take 5, honestly. But to have every single day, to be able to feel like you can have that treat. And what I find is I never, ever, ever want to overeat these. I don't have that same feeling. And it's because there's protein there. It's because there's fiber there. So I make something like this every single week, and it satisfies that sort of craving. So I'm going to put these in the oven, but I'm going to come back and give you a tip about replacing your flour, a little bit of your flour in any recipe. So drop your questions about this. Maybe Megan, you can talk for a second. I'm going to put these in the oven.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have any like thing to share? Lots of people on our team are here tonight. What are you guys making with your Shakeology? How is Shakeology, really helping you stay away from like over consuming those foods that we, know we shouldn't be over consuming?
My sister made these like protein bars with our Shakeology, so I've made that up. And like just like a little piece really helps to cut down like my either mid-morning snack or my afternoon snack, depending on what my schedule is. But it's with like mushed up dates, which I never thought I would like at all, and you don't taste them at all. So they're actually super yummy. And then you put like a thin layer of chocolate chips with coconut oil on top. And you don't even need a whole lot. You only need like a little bit, and they're actually really, really good.
Yeah. And you know what? Dates are like, I will sometimes put dates in our smoothie bowls. Like we have a recipe book that one of my girls like to follow, and we add Shakeology to them, but like they're not Shakeology recipes, but they always include dates. And it's a great way to like sweeten things in a natural way. So we always have some dates around here. And at first I was like, what in the hell are these things? Like they look so gross.
I have dates at my house that I've bought and I've never been brave enough to use because I've got some recipes that I'm like, I should make these. And then I don't know about this. And I've done this for 3.5 years.
Yeah, they're really good. And like stuff them with
Just stuff them with natural peanut butter.
Yes, they're so tasty.
Put them in the freezer and stuff them with natural peanut butter. They're amazing.
Drizzle some chocolate over them.
Yeah, so good.
You can make that viral date. Did you ever see that viral date bark? So it's kind of replacing like a Snickers bar. So you take your dates and lay them out on a cookie sheet and flatten them. So flatten them with a jar, like a cup or something, flatten them all down. And then a lot of the recipes had a layer of like melted almond butter. And then a layer, what I would do, what I've done with all of these bark recipes, like cookie dough bark or the pretzel bark, instead of just using full chocolate chips and coconut oil, I'll use dark chocolate chips, coconut oil, and a scoop of either chocolate recover or chocolate Shakeology. So all of a sudden you're getting, so it's like thinking outside the box. Like, how can I take all of these recipes I see and make it that there's a little bit more protein? So whenever you see like a chocolate layer on top of anything, you can do that. I actually just made fudge. My husband is obsessed with this fudge. What I do is I take raw cashews and chop them all up and put them on the bottom of just like a square glass thing container. And then I will mix some almond butter, coconut oil, a handful of dark chocolate chips, and then a packet of Recover. And I mix that all up. And you could use a packet of Shakeology just as easily. I put that in the microwave, melt it, mix it up, pour it over top of the cashews, and freeze it. And he has one little piece of this every single night after dinner. And it's like a high protein fudge. And my daughter, in fact, I just made it like on Friday, and Terry went to it today and he's like, what the heck, Michelle, did you eat all this? And I haven't touched it. Our 12-year-old was in it and she ate like every single piece of it. It is so, so good. So the original recipe to that was just dark chocolate chips. And I just added the protein into it because I want my family to have a little bit more satiate, right? Instead of having like 7 pieces, obviously it didn't work for Delaney. She did have 7 pieces. But I want them to have some healthy benefits to this stuff instead of just like going to the snack drawer and constantly feeding on like candy and stuff like this. So when there's like alternatives, they sometimes will pick that, right? So that I actually didn't add that recipe into the Canva or to the PDF that you guys got. I should have, because it's really delicious. If you go on my Instagram page, I did share it there once. Another swap that I made in this recipe, this cookie recipe, and I've done it both ways. This one calls for actual brown sugar, and there's nothing wrong with using brown sugar, like go for it. But I sometimes use coconut sugar or monk fruit, which is another type of sweetener, and they both worked really, really well. So you can kind of like change this up, change these recipes up and make them work for yourself. But one little hack that you can use for maybe you have a favorite recipe and you'd like to just keep the recipe pretty much the same, but add a little bit more protein to it. Anywhere that something calls for flour, you can typically replace 1/3 of a cup with protein powder. So with any recipe, if you can just remember that, you can take 1/3 of that flour and replace it. And you can use a vanilla if you don't really want much flavor, or there's protein powders that are even unflavored that you can get. We don't have one with Body that's unflavored. I wish we did. But that's just kind of like a little hack that you can use. If you have a coffee cake or banana muffins, or, you know, something that you're making all the time and you'd just like to increase the fiber a little bit. What I love about Shakeology is it's not just protein. And I actually think that's really important. It's got the vitamins, it's got the nutrients. I love this cookie recipe because it makes 12 cookies and there's 3 scoops of Shakeology in it. And at first I was like, oh, that's a lot. Like, oh my God, like kind of hoarding my Shakeology. But then I was like, no, that's pretty awesome because each cookie has a really good amount of Shakeology in it. And that's why it's got a lot of those nutrients and vitamins and superfoods. And something that we're constantly trying to remind people of is Shakeology is not just protein. It has protein, which is amazing, but it has all of these other things in it that help balance hormones, help optimize your gut health, help curb cravings, gets your digestion going, increases your energy. It's just so much more than just a protein powder. So you're getting that protein, but you're also getting all these other benefits. And you can make these really awesome treats and swaps with it and feel like you're having something, having a treat every single day, but also giving yourself a lot of benefits at the same time.
I've actually added the Recover in a banana to and then use less oil to the brownie mix.
Yeah, right. Is this Carolyn? Epicure Carolyn?
Yeah, it is.
Hi.
So yes, it is an Epicure brownie mix, but
I was gonna say you can shout yourself out, shout Epicure out.
well, I just take the Epicure brownie mix, it's already gluten-free, and I use less oil than what it calls for, and I add in a banana and 1 to 2 scoops of either the Recovery or the Shakeology.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that that works. And Epicure.
Yeah, and I actually was surprised. My daughter did say, though, they tasted more like chocolate protein bars than brownies, but, you know.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? We can't, they're not, I mean, and none of
but
this.
But they were good protein bars. They weren't crappy ones.
Yeah, exactly. None of it is going to taste exactly the same. Like, it's not going to be the same, but it's a really good option to have around. Okay, does anybody, so yes, 1/3 of a cup of Shakeology or 1/3 of a cup of protein powder, you can swap that. So if your recipe calls for a cup of flour, you can swap out 1/3 of a cup for a protein. And that pretty much works across the board. I've tried it with a lot of different recipes. I was just like, oh my God, I hope I put my timer on or I'll have burnt cookies. That'll be a great end, great finale. Okay, does anybody else have any like questions about swaps? Or in that link, I'll share it again. I just don't want anyone to miss it. There's other recipes there as well. So I think I shared 5 or 6 different recipes. There's a pretzel bark that looks, oh my gosh, so delicious. Cosmic brownies, I think, cookie dough bark, like just a whole bunch of different recipes that I've tried, Megan and a couple other partners have tried. The other places to go look is Shakeology on Instagram. They are constantly sharing so many awesome dessert recipes. And if you have Body, just go to the recipe section and filter to desserts. And you'll there's like this amazing cinnamon coffee cake that's I don't even know if it has Shakeology in it now that I say that, but it's really a good recipe. But there's tons of recipes in your Body portal that are so good. I constantly.
Another where I also get some like really good quick kind of like what I did with the Wonder Whip is some of our trainers, and I don't follow all of our trainers on Instagram, but Alana from To Be Mindset, she shared one just last week that I actually made, and it was like a 2-layer kind of like a Wonder Whip, and it was so good. And then oh, like Jennifer Jacobs, who does the program Job 20, is that what it's called? No.
Job one.
Oh my gosh. It is 20 minutes though, right? Can you tell I didn't actually do the program? Oh, busted. Job 20. Whatever. She does some really great, like, and she just does everything sexy when she does it. So, you know, it's like just everything that just makes it all more delicious. But she does some like quick, I just like this sort of like quick, I want something right now. I want to be able to whip it up and eat it in that moment too. So those are the ones that I kind of gravitate towards. But yeah, follow all the body trainers and Shakeology page, and you will forever have amazing treats and ideas.
Going back to the dates, can you hear me?
Yep.
I finally found that recipe. So it's a soaked dates. I think there was 20, and you soak them in water, and you leave a bit of the water on it, and then you crush up almonds or walnuts or whatever, and then you spread that. It's like becomes like a jam or a spread, and spread it on toast, and then put cottage cheese on top of it. Oh, it fills everything. It's got your protein from the cottage cheese. It's got the sweetness from the dates, and it is just you can eat it all anytime, lunch, brunch, whatever.
That
And it
sounds
is really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Okay, my cookies are here. Look at how fast that was, you guys. We've only been here for half an hour. I've made a batch of cookies. So there they are. This is like a big deal for me. I've made 2 trays of cookies in one day. Anyways, they smell delicious, and I wish you could have one, but that's the problem with virtual. We can't share our treats.
Nice job. Nice job.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Have any thoughts to share? I told you this was going to be just a random mash of us talking, but I hope
You're gonna have to start a cooking show.
No, this might be our best work, Michelle.
I don't know. I don't know about that. We do have matching aprons though, so I think we should get an applause for that.
I'd love to know what's in Megan's smoothie she's drinking. It's very colorful.
Well, I don't know if you were on when we first started.
No, I just caught the end of it.
Oh, my husband and I just went for a walk quickly, and I'm like, hey, I got to get back for 7:30 because I have to do this online cooking show, and had announced to my entire family, I've got an online cooking show in the kitchen at 7:30. I walk in at 7:25, and my daughter is making smoothies for everyone in the house. And there's all these jars lined up with, it's like the base was like mango and banana, and then the top was strawberry. So she made like multiple batches of this, and then of course everything's all over. I'm like, I have a cooking show starting in 2 minutes. So, and then I thought, well, couldn't you have waited like 15 minutes and you could have done it for everyone and saved us? Probably would have been cuter.
Alice gets to be the star of our next cooking show. I did actually think of that this morning. I was like, I wish our kids were younger. You know, when you have like little kids in an apron, that just would have made it so much better.
I know.
We just have teenagers in an apron that sometimes would play along and sometimes wouldn't. Anyways, you guys, someone asked for our IG because we're famous. Is that why? Because we're so engaging. It's finally happened. Anyways, thank you, you guys. Make sure I'm just gonna share this link one more time so you don't miss getting your little PDF. Yes, we are hilarious. Thank you. Anyways, we appreciate you guys being here. I think next week's workshop will be a little bit more not as chaotic. But this was fun. This was fun. And we appreciate you guys being here. And I so hope it was valuable. I hope you'll make some of these recipes. And if you make some of the recipes, please tag Megan and I, because we would love to see them. If you would put them on your stories or just send us a message and say that you made them, we would love that. All right. Bye, you guys. Thank you.
Bye.